Tonight we enter the space between, and we talk about Gaap, over between realms, walker across divides. And the question comes quiet, but it cuts deep. When has separation been your greatest teacher? Not union, not closeness, not intensity. Separation, absence, distance. We are taught to fear distance and to equate love with proximity, to mistake constant action for devotion. So join me now in and through the static seance.
The whisper caught between stations, neither here nor gone. The hum of voices trapped in the wires, their confessions dissolving into static. A seance not in candlelit rooms, but on flickering screens, where the ghosts don't knock, but distort the signal. Shadows coil in the white noise. If only one dares to alter their own frequency and listen.
Gaap does not dwell in permanence. Gaap moves in between. Between people, between identities, between who you were and who you are becoming. So let's begin here. Who left? Or perhaps more difficult, who did you leave? Separation is rarely neutral. It stirs abandonment, ignites longing, exposes dependency. For a long time, I feared being left, replaced, forgotten, rendered irrelevant. Sometimes that fear was rooted in real experience. Sometimes distance did feel like rejection. Because when you fear abandonment, you cling, or detach first, or sabotage, or overextend yourself to avoid loss. But eventually I noticed something uncomfortable. Distance was not destroying my relationships. It was revealing them. Absence removes noise. Projection softens. Emotional static quiets. And what remains is clarity. Who were you in that dynamic? Where did you overgive? Where were you underdeveloped? Where were you seeking validation instead of offering wholeness? When someone is always present, attachment can masquerade as alignment. Chemistry can masquerade as compatibility. Need can masquerade as love. Absence strips illusion. When they are not there to reassure you, who are you? When they are not there to regulate you, how do you study yourself? When they are not there to fill silence, what surfaces? Distance exposed my insecurities, my impatience, my discomfort with ambiguity, my hunger for immediate resolution. And here's the harder truth. Without distance, we become vampiric towards the ones we love. When we refuse to face our weaknesses, we feed on others, their validation, their reassurance, their emotional labor. We ask them to stabilize what we will not confront. That is not love. That is consumption. Separation interrupts that pattern. It returns you to yourself. It instructs you not about them, but about you. So if you're in distance now, resist the urge to close it too quickly. Ask instead, what is this teaching me? Patience, self-trust, emotional sovereignty, discernment? When you are alone, do you spiral or do you stabilize? Separation births discernment. You begin to see where you misinterpreted, where you overreacted, what you truly value versus what you just fear losing. Distance is not always a threat. It's sometimes just a mirror. Sometimes it shows you how quickly you become attached. Sometimes it reveals where you avoid vulnerability. Sometimes it gives you the space to grow before reunion can be healthy, because Gaap's destiny is not permanent exile. It is just wise reunion. You return, not desperate, not reactive, not clinging, but wiser. There were many relationships in my life that transformed completely by distance. Space allowed me the time to see my contribution to the dysfunction. It gave me time to navigate my flaws without weaponizing them. If you do not confront your insecurities, you project them. If you do not tend to your wounds, you bleed on those that did not cut you. Loss clarifies attachment. When someone is gone, you realize what you truly miss. And is it their essence, or is it the way that they stabilize you? Absence can be ruthless in its honesty. It reveals if you loved the person or just the role they played in holding you together. Why does abandonment hurt so deeply? Because it activates survival. We are wired for connection. Departure feels like danger, but maturity requires individuation. Without it, intimacy becomes enmeshment. Without space, connection suffocates. Without self-work, love becomes extraction. Distance is not failure, it's recalibration. And sometimes, yes, it is an ending, but even endings educate. So consider this paradox. What absence completes you? Sometimes you are made whole not by what enters your life, but by what exits. Not because the person was insignificant, but because their departure forced you inward. It demanded that you strengthen your foundations, cultivate emotional muscle, and sit with discomfort. When I stopped rushing to close the gap, that's when it shifted. I became less grasping, less reactive, less afraid, because I was no longer outsourcing my stability. And that changes everything. When you are not afraid of distance, you love more cleanly. You attach more consciously. You communicate without desperation. Connection becomes choice, not necessity. Gaap teaches that separation is not exile. It is initiation, the crossing from dependency into sovereignty. So ask yourself, who left that changed you? What did their absence teach you? Are you integrating that lesson or still resisting it? It's in the shadow of loss there is clarity. Was it love or fear of being alone? Devotion or avoidance of solitude? If you answer that honestly, something will shift. You stop draining others for what you must cultivate within. You begin navigating your jealousy, your control, your impatience, and your fear of vulnerability. The work is quiet, often lonely, but necessary. Because when reunion happens, in some form, it mostly always does, you will be different. Clearer, stronger, more discerning. And sometimes the reunion is not with them. Sometimes it is with yourself. If you are in a season of separation, do not numb it. Do not rush to fill it. Study it. What habits are surfacing? What fears are loudest? What insecurities demand attention? Absence educates. It teaches you to be alone without collapsing, to self-soothe without external reflection, to validate yourself without constant reassurance. When you can do that, your presence is a gift, not a demand. So do not demonize distance. Sometimes space is sacred. Sometimes it's what prevents love from decaying into need. And that separation is not punishment. It's preparation. Preparation to reunite wiser, to love without consuming, to stand alone without fear. Distance reveals essence. And when you return to another or to yourself, you return transformed, wiser, clearer, and whole.
sit beside you while you sleep. You believe in all the things in me, a comfort under those closed eyes. I don't care about a thing tonight, 'cause your neck is feather white. I could grow my fangs tonight. I could lay and drink you up, fly us both into the sun, burn off this bad excuse for living life by physical rules. We could let our souls fly free, just be you